for next week, because we've got some quite unusual patterns still emerging through the course of next week, with high pressure in the Atlantic and to the north of the country as well. So this is the GFS model for next week, Tuesday the 6th of November, a week out, and we can see that we've got this ridge of high pressure in the Atlantic stretching up towards Greenland and then going northwards to the north of British Isles with a trough of low pressure here over the top of the country. The black line here indicating the jet stream digging southwards, so it'll be cool on the cool side of the jet and under this trough, and so it will be unsettled. As we go to 10 days out, Wednesday the 7th of November, that low pressure is slipping away to the east, and we're getting this ridge of high pressure building in the Atlantic again, and it's time to reach the high pressure over Scandinavia. So this is quite a cold block sort of pattern setting up here, with the low pressure slipping down into the continent, the ridge developing to the west and to the north. That is quite a cold looking signal. But then as we go through to Friday the 9th of November, that low pressure dives through the gap and it forces the high pressure back out into the Atlantic, and the high pressure over Scandinavia retreats back towards western Russia. So the low pressure comes back in, but again we're still on the cool side of the jet stream again, the black line trekking to the south of the country. It will be cool and unsettled. And then beyond this is 276 hours out, so it's a long way out, but this is taking us to Saturday the 10th of November. We can see that the pattern is trying to repeat again. We're trying to get the ridge of high pressure building back up from the Atlantic, and we're trying to get a ridge building over Scandinavia as well, with the two ridges trying to build to another as the low pressure sinks southwards into the continent. So this really is a cold looking signal. It's November, so it's not going to be desperately cold, but certainly this is a very cool signal, really persisting through at least through the first 10 days of November. That's the GFS model. Let's have a look at the ECMWF. This again is a week's time, Tuesday the 6th of November. We've got the trough over the British Isles, we've got the ridge building in the Atlantic. We're trying to build a ridge over Scandinavia as well, and the jet stream along this black line is digging well south in towards Spain and southern parts of France. Going to 10 days out, Friday the 9th of November, it's a very similar situation really. We're still trying to build that ridge up over Scandinavia. It's a weak ridge, 1015 millibars, but it's trying to build there. We've still got the ridge in the Atlantic, the jet stream still digging southwards, which is still generally pulling the winds in from a very cool northerly direction. So again, this is building up the picture that the first 10 days of November is going to be unsettled, but it is going to be cool as well. Having looked at the Canadian model, the GEM, we can see that it's very similar again. A week's time, Tuesday the 6th of November, we've got the ridge over the top of the British Isles. We've got the trough, I should say, over the top of the British Isles. The ridge is out in the Atlantic, stretching up to Greenland. Again, we're trying to build the ridge over northern Scandinavia as well. This is very close to getting into a very block pattern really for the whole of the northern part of the Atlantic and into northern Europe as well. This is very close to a really cold block pattern. The fact that it's only early November does mitigate the cold somewhat, of course, of the cold potential somewhat, but nevertheless this is very close now to getting into a proper cold sort of wintry pattern. As we go through to Wednesday the 7th of November, again we're pulling the winds in from the north with the trough over the continent. The ridges are in the Atlantic stretching up to Greenland and going a long way north as well. As we go through to 10 days out, Friday the 9th of November, we're still bringing down this northerly flow across the country around this trough with the jet stream still digging well south in towards the continent. The ridges in the Atlantic, and it's a little bit less blocked actually at 10 days out than the ECMWF and the GFS. But nevertheless it's the same sort of idea. I think we've got good evidence here that for the first 10 days at least of November we are looking at a lot of cool weather, rather unsettled as well. It'll be very unsettled on Friday and into the weekend. I'll be doing the 5-day forecast tomorrow, looking at that in detail. Got some really heavy rain coming up over the next few days, and the unsettled weather will stay with us for the first 10 days of November, I think, with the jet stream tracking southwards. It will be cool to cold Still not desperately cold. We're still not bringing in desperately cold air just yet, but as long as these blocking patterns and signals continue, the potential is there. But as we go further on into November, if this persists, as we go further on into November, we could well start to get some proper cold, and we'll be looking at probably snow perhaps becoming widespread beyond the middle of the month into the second half of November. It becomes much more easier to get snow in the second half of November than the first half of November, so we really do have to keep an eye now on these signals. It is looking like it's going to be staying cool to cold well into November. That's it for now. Come back to our 5-day forecast. Bye for now.